Let's move on. Viewers from Facebook Live want us to talk about various bills that have been offered in connection with gun issues, both positions that I would describe as generally expanding gun rights. Then we have a bill, I understand there's a bill pending dealing with background checks. Is there anything happening on this legislation, and any thoughts about where it might go this session? Let's start with you, Senator Osmek.
I think in the Senate we've been taking a very cautious approach to any additional gun bills. I'm not on the judiciary. There have been a number of different bills that have come across from the House. I think Representative Nash continues to be an advocate for letting people have their constitutional rights and not impinging upon them. So we can all debate on whether that's a good thing or a bad thing. I think always good you having the exercise of your constitutional rights is always usually a good thing. But right now in the Senate, we're taking a much more measured approach in where we're going.
Representative Mahoney, any thoughts?
I certainly could not support I don't know what to call it. It's permitless carry or something like that, where if you own a gun, you can carry a gun so long as you're not restricted by law from carrying a gun. And it's I don't see the need, and frankly, there's this big fear of crime, getting hurt and getting shot, and I think we have had maybe a half a dozen or a dozen reported instances. Now there could be more where a gun was used to protect themselves, but it certainly instills fear in my particular district. Background checks, I'm not sure which way those bills went. I didn't follow that particular one. I've always been a supporter of background checks.
Senator?
I support background checks, too. I think what Senator Osmek said is probably accurate, that I think the Senate's going to be more cautious on this than the House. I'm very concerned both about I don't know, some would call it a castle doctrine or stand your ground, where you have the right to defend yourself against any fear you have, or they'll probably use the word reasonable fear. Well, that really is a risk. If you are, if some kid breaks in your garage, steal a bike or something, you kill them, you may have had legitimate fear under that law that you're defending your home and so on. I don't know that that's appropriate behavior. I think there are other solutions to addressing bicycle theft. But I do think that the House moved ahead on some of those bills in committee, but I'm not sure what the House is going to do on the floor. I really think the Senate is, I don't think we've had any hearings in the Senate on those bills, and I don't think they're likely to.
Representative Anderson?
Well, I think it was today that they discovered or solved the mystery, a 30-year-old mystery, I think here in St. Paul.
Yep.
A woman was 81 pounds, I think, or 90 pounds. And she was 81 years old when she was murdered in her home, I believe it was. And I think about, it's different when you're a woman and you have somebody coming into your home, and the time that you have, and if the other person is physically larger than you, you don't have a lot of options to defend yourself. And, I think that some of these bills are taking a look at what can we do to make sure that law-abiding citizens are feeling safe in their homes and their communities and have the ability to defend themselves against, unfortunately, bad actors that there are. And we're seeing more and more home invasions, and, I think that that's a concern. Certainly, I would hope that through our activism in law enforcement that we can protect citizens, but I think that we also need to have the conversation about some of these other issues, and I think that's what some of the lawmakers are doing at this point.
On that point, I think people should have the right to defend themselves in their homes. I think absolutely should. I think there's a difference between a 90-pound woman who's being attacked by somebody who's coming in there to do her harm and somebody who's stealing a bike out of a garage, trying not to be seen, who doesn't want to confront you. Most thieves are not trying to confront somebody. There's a clear difference there, and our laws have always given people the right to defend themselves. If they fear somebody's trying to hurt them, that's one thing. The point of the changes in the law to make it so that even if you could get away, in the Trayvon Martin case in Florida several years ago, a guy chasing after a guy and ends up killing him, saying, I was afraid because he was going to hurt me. Your first duty is to try and stay away from it. And if you're in your own home, no, you don't have to flee your own home. But there's a big difference there in the idea that if you're a person of color, if you're an African-American man, people are much more afraid of them. Legitimately or not, they're afraid of them. And if we have the laws here, you basically have, you can't convict somebody beyond a reasonable doubt if they're right, if they have a right to. If I had any fear about Tim, I can shoot him.
People have wanted to.
Yeah, that's not a good system, and I think yes, I absolutely think it's appropriate that people should be able to defend themselves with gun or whatever way. But I think the law already allows that. My concern is expansion of that, and that's what my concern about that bill is.
Yeah, and in St. Paul, 300,000 people, 100,000 households. There were 14 home invasions last year.
That's a lot.
Your chances in that are about 1 in 10,000 or something like that?
I guarantee if you went 10 years ago, you would have had one.
If I had what?
You had had one 10 years ago.
No, not really. I just saw the numbers.
I'm sorry, I wouldn't want to play with the numbers that you have 14 home invasions, no matter how many homes that you have. That's a lot.
No.
I think with
That's
the Castle Doctrine, though, we're talking about more codifying what's currently in law. I think that's the direction that has been going. And in response to Senator Marty and the bicycle type of scenario, I mean, obviously, if somebody is stealing your bike and you pull out a gun and you shoot them, that's a whole different story versus you're at your house, you're a female, it's 10 o'clock at night, it's dark, there's activity in your garage, you happen to have your gun. You go out, you're not looking for a fight, but you're going out to see what's going on in your garage, and you see the flash or you see the glint of something and maybe someone that looks like a gun, and you have a right to defend yourself. So,
Right.
you know, I don't like to make an easy flip scenario that sounds unrealistic, but there are realistic situations where you have a right, even though you're not backing up, you have a right to actually defend yourself. And I think that's the direction we've been trying to go with Castle Doctrine.
Well, we probably aren't going to resolve this issue tonight. I don't know why I think that, but I think that's probably the case.